My name's Gary Ross. I'm with the YMCA of Marshalltown. And this year again we are hosting the Girls High School Athletic Diving and Swimming Competition on November 13th and 14th. For our facility usage, the lap pool will be open from 5:30 to 7:30 a.m. From there, the pools will be closed Friday and Saturday for the event. We'll be back open for normal on Sunday. As with everything else this year, there are some changes. There will be no fans this year. You can do pay-per-view and log on to ighsau.org and find the information to be able to log on and view the state meet from there. The gym in both pools will be used for the event. The gym will be used for the girls' camp, and both pools will be used as warm-up and competition spaces. For updated information, please call 641-752-8658, which is the YMCA's main number.
Hi, my name is Pat Thompson. I'm a public health nurse from Marshall County, and it's a beautiful day, and it's great to be outside in November. And you know, if you can get outside today, it's good for your soul, it's good for your body. I know that with what's going on in the world right now, that we tend to actually kind of burrow inside a little bit because of the habit of some of the cold weather and that type of things we've had. So I'm going to make an effort today to get myself out on my bike trail, as I call it, and just see, you know, enjoy the nice sunshine and hear the trees. You know, the wind blowing through the leaves is really a favorite thing for me. And just take advantage of our good days that we have. That's what we need to do. So today I have with me Shannon Shima, and Shannon actually works at Satusi. And Shannon, I'm going to actually ask you to tell us what Satusi stands for and what your position is, please.
Okay. I have been at Satusi for 14 years, and Satusi stands for Substance Abuse Treatment Unit of Central Iowa. And our service, we are in the same parking lot with McFarland Clinic uptown. We're in the same building as Center Associates, if people are familiar with that. What we have is we have drug and alcohol counselors that see patients. We also have offices in Tama and Poweshiek, which is Grinnell, and Eldora, 2 days a week, so people can be seen there. But what I do is I work in prevention. In the prevention department, there's 3 of us, and we go and talk to kids and adults and other people, if there's anybody else, and about alcohol, tobacco, other drugs, and gambling. Prevention.
Yes. So now, do you have a grant for this right now too, or
we do.
Funding is important to talk about.
Yes, we the prevention department generally works off of grants from the Iowa Department of Public Health. So our big grant is called the IPN grant, which Iowa Prevention Network, I think is what it's called, and that's through public health. And that's where the majority of our money comes from, and that's where we hit, we also have opioids on there, so that'd be the other drugs. We also secured a new grant this year in prevention, and it's called the SOR2, and that, it used to be opioids and heroin, and now they've added stimulants such as meth, because the providers in Iowa found out that we need more money for stimulant and methamphetamine prevention as opposed to opioids. There are opioid addictions and problems, but like heroin, it's not too bad in Marshall County and Poweshiek, Tama, and Hart right now.
Okay. So I know, yes, because the big push was on opioids and trying to actually help keep people alive who had overdosed is really some of the push in the beginning, and still. Is that it's still being pushed, and it's important. That's why we have the plans that we have, because accidents happen, right?
And we do still have, and that's under the SOR grant. I don't know the acronym right now,
that's
but
okay.
That we still can train people on administering Narcan, which is the drug to help bring people back from an overdose. We cannot give it to people. Like the police department, let's say we have done a training with police department, but people can get it free from their pharmacy. You can, or not, I don't know if it's free, but it is no prescription.
Okay, available.
So if if you have a loved one that you know might be struggling with that, you need to keep that on hand because it's a miracle drug. It brings them back until you can call 911. And oftentimes when they will have the free Narcan day, I see on social media that people get very upset because they think maybe they caused the problem themselves by being addicted to opioids and that they shouldn't be getting it for free. But it saves lives. I mean, it's the one drug that can save them until they get there. And the people that we see that have a opioid addiction, most of them started out with a legitimate prescription that they got from their doctor. And then, you know, it just got out of control because supposedly when the doctors first started prescribing that, they were told that it wasn't addictive. And now we know that it is. So it's just a little bit of empathy is,
Exactly.
you know, if we can save somebody, then I think that's probably the right thing to do.
Every life is worth it.
Exactly.
You know, and that's how we have to think of it too.
And
because,
yeah, it's very addictive, and nobody means to get addicted to it.
no one ever needs to be addicted.
Yeah.
Ever. But,
And it just
happens.
happens. So if we have something that can help that, and also our primary health, they have a Suboxone program that if somebody needs treatment anywhere in the state, they can come to Marshalltown or the other primary health locations. And that is, so Suboxone is what they use instead of methadone, because methadone, I guess, can be addictive too. And they've had great success with it. And we're lucky to have primary health in our community.
We're very blessed, aren't we? Yes, so we thank primary health for the care that they give and all our other healthcare providers because they do refer at times too, so that's
Yes.
good. So one thing I know that you want to talk about today, which is a nice website, is Your Life Iowa.
That's correct. So IDPH has combined all their programs of emphasis, I guess you can call it, into one website, and it's yourlifeiowa.org. So I have the little card. And if you go onto that website, they also have a number too if you need help on something. So if you go on the website, I printed out some of the things, and they have different categories. So they have alcohol, and then they have vaping, like e-cigarettes. They have gambling and suicide prevention. So it's alcohol, drugs, gambling, suicide, mental health, vaping, and e-cigarettes. Then you would just click on the link. They have some quizzes on there if you want to do that. Those are always kind of fun. They're hard to print out though. And then they have warning signs. So I've brought some of that, warning signs and other things that you can do for a specific category. The suicide prevention is new to us, and we have a zero suicide grant also from the Iowa Department of Public Health. And so we're working on that, mainly care plans and questions that we can ask people, because unfortunately during all the whole pandemic and things, suicide rates have gone up a lot. I'm feeling sometimes people aren't getting to the counselors that they need or the doctors that they need, support groups, those sort of things, and people that need some services for that. There's also a huge stigma with that, and I've never quite figured that out. But I always think when I see a obituary or something where they say they died by suicide, that's really brave of somebody to do that.
It is brave.
But it shouldn't be.
Exactly.
You know, it shouldn't
exactly.
be. So that's a category that you can check out if you need to. On loved ones, it says what to do if you have a loved one experience any of those things.
Well, and suicide is bigger than we know and bigger than we want to admit. And we need to be open to that and know that people are hurting. And I'm going to say this, they don't want that either, because they're at a place where decision making isn't the best. And so suicidal ideation should always be taken very, very seriously at all times. And who doesn't want to ignore something that's hard? It's very hard. So take it very seriously, call for help, call, if you can't, if the person that needs that help, if it's not just you, then, watch them and be kind and understanding and encourage and call for your information yourself so you can help that person too, you know. So and guess what? We know that suicide is preventable.
And that's true. And the first thing on there, then they have some good tips on there, is change the way we talk about it.
Yes.
Instead of suicide attempts.
Yes.
Because that's not a good thing, because that means you're not successful.
Yes.
And then died by suicide instead of committed, those sort of things. And there's things on that can help you. We have to re-examine how we're talking about almost everything.
Yes,
anymore.
exactly, exactly, with very good reason. And it is a call for help too. It is, and it doesn't have to happen. So, and then there's, like you say, there's a sadness and I'm trying to think of the right word. Stigma, like you said, that you're afraid, because my own grandfather committed suicide, and it was tragic, and we didn't talk about it. How'd your grandfather die? We just didn't say. It was a long time ago, but he was hurting, and he didn't get the help he needed, and I'm not sure it was available way back then, because I'm not so young, but you know what I'm trying to say? And so it's looked at much more clearly, as a better word than differently, differently and more clearly about what this really is all about and how we can take care of each other. And in these days of the pandemic, and even more, I want to say enforced isn't quite the right word, but we actually need to distance ourselves, and distancing isn't really the thing that you need then either, but that's what we need to do to decrease our risk of getting COVID-19. So it's just a tough time.
And there are support groups online.
Yes,
I know that
you're not alone.
some people are zoomed out. I am one of them, and that people don't know the rules after 6 months, but they have all sorts of groups online now that people can do.
Yes, and that can be a way of even not presenting yourself as in the beginning. There's a ways of figuring out how to be a part of a group without committing to the group until you know about the group. So check it out, please. That's a good thing to do.
I've been working with 5th graders, and if they can figure it out, we can figure it out.
Yes, we can.
And they've got their Chromebooks. They're ready to go.
Yes, they are. That's really great. So Your Life Iowa, then it's a website. Is that correct?
That's right. It's a website, and it has. Then you just go to the categories. And one that I wanted to hit on today was alcohol, though. Yeah. So there's been an increase in alcohol use. And this is the other thing when we talk about a stigma with suicide. It's the same thing with alcohol or drug addiction. I just went through an experience with someone that was in the hospital for something else, and we didn't realize that alcohol was a problem. So they had to deal with that for 2 weeks before they could get down to what the problem was with this person. And I just thought, this is not good that we don't talk about this. It is a disease. Alcoholism and drug addiction are a disease. I firmly believe that. And it's like mental health too. Mm-hmm. People are ashamed to talk about it, and they shouldn't be. So alcohol use has gone up a lot during the pandemic. I'm not exactly sure how much, but it's because people are home and they don't have anything else to do, and it's been all over, not just in Iowa, but all the states.
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I thought I'd talk a little bit about it today, and I'm also one of the DUI instructors at Satusi, and if someone is needing that class, we are teaching it online, so you can call the Satusi office if you are interested in that class, if you have to have it. And I always tell everybody, if I had to take it, I'd want to do it online, because it's a little easier. Mm-hmm. I can just walk across the hall and start teaching my class on Saturday morning. So it's a 12-hour class. We do have that class, and it's still going on, just in case people want to know about it. But oftentimes people don't know what a standard drink is. And the formula tells us that most people could have 2 standard drinks a day. Most people, not everybody, but so people want to know, what is 2 standard drinks? And if I got pulled over, officer, I had 2 standard drinks. Well, I had 2 containers. But, so I brought my glasses.
Read the label.
I love my glasses, so I brought my glasses because I don't get to take them anywhere. Yeah. So a standard drink would be 12 ounces of beer. This is my Burpo beer bottle that I got from a training. And 5 ounces or 5 to 6 ounces of wine. Or 1 ounce, or I think it might be 1.5, up to this white line of distilled spirits, they call it. I call it hard liquor. So that'd be alcohol, vodka, tequila, rum, those sort of things. All of these have 0.06, so just a little bit over a half an ounce of pure alcohol. So your beer, you're not going to have, very much in there. The wine's a little bit more, and this is almost is over half. So they all contain 0.06 pure alcohol in there. So what happens is, how people get in trouble is, we'll talk about beer in a minute, but wine, I tell you, I take these everywhere, and I broke this wine glass, and I was teaching a class at DMAC, and she was a bartender, and she got me the glass because I couldn't find it, because this is really small. Yes. If you're a wine drinker, this is a small glass. Yes. And so what happens is, I go to a restaurant, and they have a bigger glass, and they only fill it this much, and I pay $7 or whatever. I might not be very happy about that. So sometimes, not always, sometimes they have a little poorer, they'll fill it up. So then if I have a big old glass of wine, I have 2, let's say, and I get pulled over, an officer, I had 2 glasses of wine. I really did. I'm not lying. Yeah. But I could have had 4, yes, or 5 or 6. The same thing with beer. There's a restaurant, I'm not going to name it, but I always rip on them because they have the big Brutus with the beer. And just different shaped glasses can have a glass and a half or something like that in it. And then, of course, distilled spirits. If you have a mixed drink, you could have 2 shots or 3 shots, or if you're just drinking shots. So I always say to kids, so if I have 2 beers and then my husband has 2 shots of tequila, does it matter? Well, it does kind of matter, because I have a lot of water and barley and hops, and this is mostly liquor. But it's the amount that a person drinks that is dangerous. So as far as beer goes, we have, I wrote this down because the standard Budweiser, I just pulled Budweiser out, so it would be any other kind of beer, is 4.8% alcohol, which I think is high. I swear, when I was a kid, people used to go over to Colorado to get 3.2 beer, and now it's 4.8. But if a person goes with a craft beer, there's lots of craft beer breweries, it's very popular. My husband likes them. But you will see on their chalkboard, they'll have the alcohol content, and I've seen it as high as 9.
Yes, so you have to be careful.
Yeah, so what we always say is 1 equals 2.
Yes.
1 craft beer equals 2 Budweiser beers. So if 9% is a lot.
It is.
And so if you're thinking of 4, just say 5 for the Budweiser. So it's almost twice that amount. So people have to be really careful when they're drinking the craft beers. So if we say that you can have 2 a day, then you really could only have 1. And then they say if a person doesn't drink every day, they can have 3 on any given day.
But not drive.
As long as you don't have 14, you don't pass 14 in a week, and we can't save them all up for Friday and Saturday.
Okay. So you're talking drinking during the week or drinking.
Yeah.
Yes. How many you can have? Yes.
Because the new studies came out that red wine was good for you, and they even said it's better for you even if you choose not to drink, which is not true. If you choose not to drink, don't drink.
Right.
And for whatever reason.
Yes.
And you don't need to all of a sudden, you can find something else that's better for you than drinking wine.
Exactly.
So that's what we like to tell people. And then, of course, and you're supposed to space them an hour apart. And then, of course,
each drink needs to be an hour apart?
Yeah. So when you see commercials for alcohol, and they always say, drink responsibly. Nobody ever tells you. That's why I like to bring these out, because nobody tells you what is responsible. How much should I have? Of course, sometimes they say men could have 2 or 3, and women are 1 or 2. Just because of our body types, generally, women should drink less than men. Yes. Not always, but generally that's just a good rule of thumb. And then if you take into the account, if you have a family history, a parent, grandparent, aunt or uncle that has had alcoholism, then you have to maybe make different choices than other people.
Be wise. Think about what you're doing. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be social, not drunkenness.
Yes.
Can I say that?
Yeah.
And so tell me, on this glass of wine, roughly, would it be a fill line to here?
Yeah, it's about right here.
Okay, on that type of glass.
Yeah, sometimes you see those little carafes if you're in a restaurant, and they'll pour it in that. That's 5 ounces. And then they'll come over and they'll pour it in your glass. And that's to keep themselves safe too.
Yes.
You know, bars and restaurants, they can certainly get sued. So they are trying to be safe too. And they have, you know, beers different. And I always tell kids, I've never had a Long Island iced tea, but I always tell them it tastes nothing like iced tea. It's just a bunch of nasty, dark-colored liquor in there. But now I see they have a Long Island iced tea altogether brand.
Oh, that you
So,
buy it all
yeah.
pre-mixed, ready to go?
So it's
Okay.
not gin and whatever. I don't even know what's in it, to tell you the truth.
Yeah. Okay, I've got a true confession. I had it once. A Long Island iced tea, and yes, you do. There's a lot of alcohol in it. I had no clue, and that also does not help. And it tastes really good. I've had it once because
Well,
it's just not healthy
And
for
that's,
someone.
that's the other things. They were making these liquors, all sorts of cotton candy and pineapple vodka and all that stuff. And yeah, it does taste good, and
It was a long time
and you
ago.
can't
and
taste that alcohol.
I learned that. So,
Yeah.
nope, can't do this again.
Yeah, so there's all sorts of stuff. There's the newest drinks that I've seen are they contain malt liquor, and they are what do they call them? Well, there's like Truly is one of the brands, and seltzers, spiked seltzers or something like that. But that's malt liquor, and
It's a marketing thing too that kind of pulls you in, and you got to know you're drinking beer or you're drinking this or this or this.
And there's like 5% alcohol in that, in those. And and the problem with those is they taste really good. You can't taste the alcohol.
Yes, and that's where we have to be very careful too. It's not, it would be like drinking Kool-Aid or a punch.
Yeah.
So you have to be very, very careful with what you're doing and be wise. And actually, like you said, that if you choose not to drink, that's better.
Yes.
It is, as we know that.
You know, and there's lots of reasons. Sometimes people choose not to because they don't want to lose control, or they have a history of alcoholism in their family, or sometimes they just don't like the taste of it. Exactly. And so if somebody drinks, first couple times they drink, and they are having negative effects, like they're dizzy or they're vomiting or something, most likely they're not going to drink again. And that's the same thing with any drug. If you try it, like marijuana, and it makes you crazy or whatever, not that marijuana makes you crazy, but you know what I mean. It makes you paranoid or whatever, then a lot of people will choose not to do it
The side effects are uncomfortable. And yes, so you have to know your body and also make choices. Drinking alcohol is a choice, right? So you can actually choose not to, and it's perfectly acceptable and the best choice. We know that. We're not going to say that alcohol is good for you. But
I would say that the teens now, they think alcohol is worse than marijuana. And if I would tell them to name me some drugs, they would not mention alcohol because it's legal. And then the minute that marijuana started to become legal in certain states, then all of a sudden everybody's thinking it's okay but it's not, because it's not legal, so it's not standardized like this. So if we're going to buy our marijuana in Marshalltown, and then we buy some in Tama, it's going to be totally different because it's not standardized. And I feel sorry for the states that have passed it, because I don't know how they're doing that. They're having to decide how much you can use and drive. And right now, if you have any paraphernalia or anything, then you're going to get arrested. You need to go in and do the breathalyzer test in any amount. So I often, in DUI classes, we have people that are there for marijuana also.
Because it does affect your ability to drive.
It does.
Yes.
It does.
Just like alcohol.
So you want to talk about marijuana?
Yes, please. I'd like that.
I know I need to throw gambling in there. But so just a short thing about marijuana is that it's not standardized. It's not legal here. If it was legal tomorrow, teens aren't going to be able to do it because it's going to be 21. And tobacco products are now 21 too. So cigarettes and everything is now 21. If you don't use them, you probably don't know that. And so you just have to be really careful. Just because it's legal one place doesn't mean that it's legal here, and it's not. And the problem with, people often say nobody has overdosed on marijuana. Well, they didn't when they were smoking it, but now they have all these edibles in the states where it's legal, and there's directions on there. Like if somebody gets gummy bears in Colorado, it will say how often to use it. Well, people don't feel it right away, so then the problem is they take more and more. So that is something that people need to be careful of on that. And it's not like it's on every corner. You know, you've been to Colorado a lot.
Yes.
And most of it's medical. And then I tell kids, if it's medical in Iowa, I tell you I'm never going to go to the doctor and he's going to tell me to go home and smoke a joint. You know, I will get it in a different form if it's, you know, recommended for me.
Yes.
So that's my marijuana. Short and sweet. But I wanted to touch on gambling if we could.
Yes.
Okay, so we have the gambling grant. We haven't had it for a long time. We've never had it. But now they have it, so we do have it. So the casinos have been closed for a while, and they're back open. I don't know how busy they are. I'm not a big casino goer, but the thing we're concentrating on now is sports betting. You hear all about fantasy football and any kind of online games where like kids can buy lives, or cash boxes they call them, CACHE.
There's so much I don't know.
Yeah, that all is a form of gambling. Okay. And I hear horror stories all the time about a kid that's rung up a bill, you know, on his parents' credit card or whatever, and because they are trying to get to the next level in these online games. So just make sure that you talk to your kids about that. And this is also on Your Life Iowa too. And it tells you some symptoms and what to look for. Because gambling's a tough one to figure out. And I have a few little myths. Like if a slot machine returns 93%, that means I'll leave the machine with 93% of my money. And that's a myth, of course. And they said the average slot player actually leaves with about 57% of their money. And this is called churning. It happens because players don't pocket their winnings, they put them right back in the machine. So there's little quizzes on there for like that to see how much that you know. And another thing I find interesting about casinos is my coworker went out, and the ATM, you can get more money than you would be able to get, like, I think, what is it, 200 I could get out?
Yeah,
at the, or 300 maybe, and it's like 500 that you can get at the, on your credit
That
card.
would break me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or it would make me unhappy, I guess would be.
So, and then I know,
Not living in the life I'd want to for a while because of that.
I have some older loved ones, you know, that were not gamblers, but they're lonely. And there's nothing else to do, and you know, the food's good at the casino, so they go out there and, oh, I only pay the penny slots, but I'm putting in, you know, 50 cents or whatever, 50 pennies in it. And it can really become a problem. So we're kind of zeroing in on that, on some of those. So I like this one. I always seem to win when I wear my lucky socks. And that's a myth.
Yeah.
People want to believe in lucky charms, and sometimes they seem to work. Unfortunately, more often they don't. It's an illusion, but not a bad one as long as it doesn't lead you to make bets you can't afford. Gamble with your head, not over it.
Well, that's a good way to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, I don't think kids, I never thought that like video games and stuff were gambling, but it really is considered that if you're exchanging money for something.
Yes.
And lots of times that happens, they get a parent's credit card, or maybe a parent has, you know, just handed it to them, or they didn't know they had it.
Yes, so it's something to, you know, there can be some social gambling, as you have your limit and you know what you're going to do and count on losing it. And you're not going to make up for last debts, you know, or trying to pay bills with your money from being at gambling or gaming, as they call it also, because it just doesn't work the way you hope and think, and also it increases anxiety and leads to all kinds of other problems in your life too. It can. Now, if you, like I said, if you're social, and I know of some people that go to the casino and they I have my $20, and when it's gone, it's gone. And they actually, when it's gone, and they count on that's their evening, that type of thing.
And I can do that, but not everybody can do that. You know, I think the first time I went to a casino and you push the button on a slot machine, I go, I don't even have to pull the handle. I mean, I was like, I don't really like this. And my dad always said it was like throwing money down a rat hole. And so that I have that mindset. But the number is 1-800-BETS-OFF. I'm sure you've seen billboards, and that's still the number to call. But you also can go to the yourlifeiowa.org. If you think somebody in your family might have a problem, they said some of the signs are if someone's preoccupied with gambling, increasing bet amounts to get the desired high, so your $20 isn't cutting it anymore, jeopardizing or losing jobs or relationships. And another thing that you can do is there's a form on there where you could self-exclude yourself from casinos. I think the one in Tama you have to go in, but the other ones you could get online, and that means that they'll have your picture and stuff, and if you can't control how you go there, they'll say, sorry, you can't come in. And that's kind of a neat thing that you can do that.
It takes determination and resolve. I mean, those maybe
but I've known some people that have done that, and
it's good if you have.
If we're talking about brave, that's another brave thing to do that.
Yes. Say, I know I need this. I need this help. Deterrent. Yes.
And then, of course, we have counseling services for gambling too. And because sometimes alcohol and drugs go hand in hand. You know, there's some casinos where people drink the whole time they're there. So that could be part of it too.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Now I've only been to a casino once actually to gamble, and it started taking my money back.
Yeah.
I just couldn't handle it. I'm a terrible gambler.
Oh, I'm not good either.
I
don't know. Did I win?
Yeah. Give me a nice meal. I'll pay for a nice meal, but it's like I have to have something to show for it. But that's just how I am.
Yeah. And you know, it happens. There's nothing wrong.
Exactly.
With the people that have a hard time controlling it.
Exactly.
You've got to make a plan.
Yes, and seek help. Seek help. Because I know in the past, when I've had people on the radio show talking about gambling, you know, you can control it. I don't know if you lose the addiction or you're healed or whatever, but you can stop too, because it's proven that you can, and it's worthwhile getting into the programs because it does help. That's what I want to say.
And that's the same thing with alcohol. You know, most people could cut back easy.
Yes.
Not everybody can, and that's when people are in recovery. Yeah, I have a friend who said 1 drink is too many and 100 is not enough, meaning he can't stop.
Once you start,
he can't. But most people can if you get it early enough.
Yes.
And then if you get to that phase, then there's certainly all sorts of support groups and counseling that people can get.
And know yourself too. You know who you are and what you really need. Is very, very important.
And to be honest with yourself.
And that's hard sometimes.
You know, I don't know very many people that tell the doctor the exact amount that they drink.
Yes.
You know, they fudge it a little bit.
Even if you don't drink much.
Yeah. The doctor needs to know.
Yes.
Your doctor needs to know.
Yes, exactly.
It is costing them something, and they try to get people in there with free stuff.
Yeah.
You know, so you get free points and you get free coins and things like that, and then it will come. Sometimes kids don't even know they're doing it. And I had heard one time somebody's son was like 6 and he had bought all this stuff and he didn't even know he did it because they had left their credit card in there. So I would say you've got to monitor your kid's phone, and as much as they don't like it, but you need to, and make sure that you don't have the credit card right in there. You know how easy it is to buy something off of Amazon? I mean, it's like 2 buttons because all my information is in there. And you need to make sure that you don't do that, and limit the time that they can play. It's just like, I remember when the video game systems first came out, I wouldn't buy it for my son because I knew it was going to be one more thing to argue about. And it was just trying to get him away from it. And it is an addictive trait. And people aren't born, they don't have addictive personalities per se, like some people say, well, I have an addictive personality. Not really, but it's easy to get into that. And especially when they're so young. You know, my grandson is like 6, and he's already, wanting to play that Nintendo Switch. but they limit his time, and you need to do that. It's just like screen time, just like a TV. You need to limit the time, and it's everywhere. You know, sometimes you'll go to a restaurant and you can play on those little things in there. It's just being really, really careful.
And it takes away their attention, and also it decreases their attention span.
It can.
Yeah.
It can. If a kid has ADHD, yeah, then it's hard to keep people's attention span. You know, when I was teaching at the junior college, it was, I can't remember how long, but it's only like 15 minutes for even adults, let alone kids. And you know, I think about now they're all on their screens, and I know there's nothing else they can do about it, but they've got to do it like that because of COVID. But now they're on their computers all the time, and
phones are little computers.
yeah, phones
Yeah.
are little
They're always
computers.
looking down.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we used to call those BlackBerry prayer meetings, is what speakers used to say. Get off the BlackBerry prayer meeting down there. Yeah, and it is, and especially driving. Do not be texting when you're driving.
Oh
I
my
see
gosh.
so many people do that. And as a motorcycle rider, it scares me to death when you hear about people getting hit because they're not paying attention. And I know we have a law, but I don't know how much it's enforced, you know, with the phone, and you see it everywhere, everywhere you're going. So that, I mean, and people think, well, I can do it. And
You can't.
let's say you know your kid is driving and they're texting you, stop. Just say, stop. When you get there, and they might be doing voice text, but they probably aren't.
And guess what? It can wait till you get there.
It can wait. Just think the way that we used to wait,
I
you
know.
know? I think about that all the time. You know, when I would go somewhere for the weekend and I'd have to, when long distance cost money, I would have to call from the landline, because that's all there was, and let it ring twice and hang up so my dad knew I was there.
Someday when I'm retired and not working, I'm going to have a phone. And that's all. It'll be good. I talk brave, don't I?
Yeah.
I haven't given up the internet on my phone yet.
Just the camera.
Yeah, the camera would be okay. Just have limits.
Yeah.
Set limits that are realistic and stick with them. Okay, you talked me into that. That's true. So
So we got off.
no, it's all
Lots of
good.
bills.
So it is important to check what your insurance will cover. We understand that always with everything, including immunizations and everything. But also know that there are other means of without using medication. And one way they can find out is by going to
Your Life Iowa.
Your Life Iowa.
Your Life Iowa, yep. And they've got all that stuff on there. So again, it's Your Life Iowa, all one word, .org, O-R-G.
And I haven't gone to the site myself, but it's worth taking a peek and seeing what's there.
Oh, it's a great site.
Yes, it is.
It actually, it's going to take you to Iowa Department of Public Health, but it's the Your Life Iowa site.
Yes, and that's what Iowa Department of Public Health does do lots of our social and health organizations, not organizations, departments, so that's a good place to go. Yeah.
Yep.
So, anything else, Shannon, that you'd like to talk about?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, thank you for
I'll
being
save
with
it.
us.
I'll save it for next time.
I would love that. So thanks for coming. But I want to talk a little bit about COVID. It's still here and it's not going away at all. It's increasing, and I've been recommending that all of us look at our plans for the holiday season because it's fast approaching. Thanksgiving's what? 3 weeks from tomorrow, and
Oh my gosh,
I know. So you better start thinking or planning
Yeah.
that limited menu that may be out there. What actually for Thanksgiving, and for my holidays, and I've said this, is I do not plan on seeing family, big get-togethers at all. Next year we will. Next year we will for sure, because there's just lots and lots of people that come from lots of different areas, and that'll lower my risk is why I'm doing that. And so that's something that you have to think about doing. You know, there really is no safe place at this time, unless you're at home in your own home. So decreasing your risk is very important, and I want to remind you that if you have plans coming up, think 2 weeks ahead that this is very, very important that I do this, whether it's whatever it may be, and hopefully it's fun. But anyway, think about that, and then curtail your activities that expose you or increase your risk, congregation of people, that type of thing, so that you're not coming up with COVID at the last minute and missing something that's very, very important. And then after you do your important activity, kind of hold back a little bit and to make sure you didn't get exposed while you were there, because it is happening and it does happen. Okay, so that's just my advice to you. I've done that myself, and if I've had fun, like I say, if I've had fun, then I have to think, okay, now I want to make sure I do not put other people at risk, because, and so I just kind of curtail my activities. That doesn't mean you can't go to the grocery store with your mask unless you're sick. Okay, so I have to jump around here a little bit. Stay home if you're sick. This is public health, the same old, same old. Stay home if you're sick. Cover your cough. Wash your hands and wear a mask, please, because that's what public health is. It's prevent, promote, and protect. So
are there any plans for a testing site in our area now that the other one pulled out?
not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of. But you can. Thank you very much. So you can call. If you're looking for a testing site for COVID-19, you can call 211, and it takes you to a dedicated phone line at the Iowa Department of Public Health, and say, where's the closest Test Iowa site to my location, wherever you're at. And they'll tell you. The other thing you can do is Google testiowa.com, and they'll usually have the sites there, so you can choose a place, because that testing is free. And they'll test you after you've gone online and completed that little survey thing that they have that's pretty harmless. And then you don't go to any Test Iowa site without doing that, and also take the code number, whatever the number is called, with you, because they won't test you without that. Because what it's doing is it's decreasing exposure to the people that are taking good care of you at that site. You're not having to fill out paperwork there. You're not having to spend much time talking to them. You give them the code, you get the test, and you move on. Okay, so and also it's kind of limiting. You don't want people stacked up in cars, and it's in cars now where you don't get out of the vehicle and just drive through. So it works, and it's a very good testing site. But it's not in Marshall County, so and I don't know that it will or will not come back. I don't know.
Well, I'd heard that Hy-Vee's were doing some, but ours was not.
Okay. So,
not yet, so.
So check into, go online, but Test Iowa, so that means that we don't have a Marshall County site at Hy-Vee either, so you need to go online or call 211 to figure that out.
Or your doctor.
Or your doctor, yes. And if you have COVID, I want to remind you that it's a virus, and we don't know the long-term side effects, and I do talk to people that have side effects that are unpleasant months after they've had it. That's just the truth. So some people don't have side effects from having it. Some people do, and that's what we want to help you. If you don't get it, you can't have the side effects. How's that sound? So make sure that you, if you do have the virus, that you take care of yourself. Get rest. Don't run around your home even frantically cleaning because you're home with it. Take care of yourself because you have a virus and we don't know the side effects. And if you have COVID and your symptoms increase, please call. If you need 911, call 911. But for sure, call your healthcare provider to let them know what's going on, because they want to know that. They want to take good care of you. Okay? And then this is a time when, like I'm saying to people, stay home. Those get-togethers that are fun, and we all want to do them, and I'm a fun killer, but stay home, please. And let's just get through this and wait for the vaccine, and know that this too will end. And I know we call it the new normal, or it'll never be the same. Mm-hmm. Well, some things won't be the same, but I know us, and we'll get back there. We have opportunities, and we've had the vaccine, and the decreased amount of, way decreased, chances of getting the virus would be, I know people will come together again, and it will happen. So this is a time to be patient and kind to each other. Give grace to people that may not see the same things that you do, or because we're all just trying to make it in this little world that we're in, and find your joy, such as a beautiful day as this. Anything, Shannon, at all? Words of encouragement? Seek help if you need it, because that's Shannon and her Satusi, they want to take good care of you too.
I will say that my husband helped out his mother when she had it, and they both masked up, and he stayed overnight, and he washed his hands and did all that, and he did not get it because he took every precaution. Of course, he went and got tested a couple of times, but it doesn't mean that you're going to get it if you have a loved one in your home, but you certainly need to be tested for it. But then you practice all the stuff like we've been talking about.
But people do get it too from being household contact, because he was providing care, and so that means that he was exposed. But see, we do know. I talk to people that, how do I take care of my child? How do I do these things? So that's when we talk and help decide how this will work. Doesn't decrease the amount of 14 days that you need to quarantine from a person who has it, because that's what we do to take care of ourselves and other people.
And he did do that.
Yeah. So he did everything he was asked to do,
Yep.
and he made it work.
And I think it was pure luck. But he thinks it's because he did everything he was supposed to.
And well, and it does work.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Not 100%, because this is just how the world is, but it's certainly worth it. And and also taking care of a loved one with masks and all those things that you need to do. That's not easy to do, so it's appreciated. So quite the guy, actually.
Yeah.
Yes. Taking care of your mom. Yeah. What do you do? Right. So anyway, until next time, enjoy the fall, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.